My name is Sarah Whitmore. I used to think silence was something you could control, like turning down the volume of the world whenever it got too loud. Now I know silence has a sound of its own. It hums. It breathes. It waits 52 days. That's how long it's been since I last felt the wind or sunlight that wasn't filtered through curtains. 52 days since Thomas locked the last door and told me I didn't have to worry anymore. He said, "You're safe here. Nobody can hurt you now." I forgot to mention that safety feels a lot like captivity. When you're not the one holding the key, the house smells like wood polish and dust. It creaks when I move, as if the walls are warning him that I'm awake. Sometimes I wonder if the house listens for him too. If it knows who it belongs to. My room used to be an office. There's still a desk against the wall and a single chair that wobbles if you lean too far. He let me keep the lamp, said it makes the room homey. The lamp doesn't work anymore, but I still turn the switch every night, pretending it does. Pretending I have control over something. Every evening, around the same time, a small blue light appears outside the door. At first I thought it was from the hallway, a nightlight maybe, but it's not. It's deliberate. It's him. He never explains things directly. He just gives me patterns. If the blue light is on, I stay quiet. If it's off, I can move around, hum softly, maybe read one of the old magazines he left me. I learned that pattern on the third day. It's strange how fast your body learns obedience, and fear becomes a language. Sometimes I ask myself why I don't just scream. The windows are boarded up, but sound travels, doesn't it? Maybe someone would hear, maybe not. Thomas says people don't pay attention anymore, that even if they did, they wouldn't come. He says the world outside is cruel, that I'm lucky he took me away from it. I used to argue. I used to tell him I had a job, friends, a life. He'd smile, tilt his head, and ask, "Did they ever really care about you?" And in the silence that followed, I'd start to doubt my own answers. That's how he wins, not with chains, but with questions. When the blue light first appeared, it felt like a boundary. Now it feels like a heartbeat, a pulse that belongs to him, not me. He never enters when it's on. He just passes by, sometimes humming under his breath, keys jingling softly. That sound, the keys, it's the only proof I have that there's still a world outside this room. I remember the first time he locked the door. He said it was just for the night, that the house was old and the wind made it creak too much. He smiled as he turned the key, said, "You'll sleep better this way." And he was right, I slept, but not because I felt safe. Because I didn't know what else to do. When I wake up now, I wait before I move. I listen for his footsteps. If they sound close, I stay still. If they fade, I breathe again. The body learns strange things. It learns how to hold its breath when the floorboards groan. It learns how to smile at danger so it doesn't bite. It learns how to survive. I think he likes the version of me that exists here, the quiet one, the one who doesn't argue, doesn't cry. He says, "I'm softer now." He says I remind him of peace. But peace shouldn't feel like disappearing. I found a mirror once, tucked behind an old wardrobe. It was cracked, but I could still see pieces of myself. For a moment, I didn't recognize the woman staring back. Her eyes were wide, empty, like she'd been listening too long. I almost called her by another name. Thomas doesn't know about the mirror. He doesn't check this room as carefully as he thinks. He believes obedience means blindness, but I see everything. The way his hand trembles when he locks the door. The way he looks away when I whisper thank you. Maybe he's afraid too of what I'd do if I stopped being afraid of him. Every afternoon, the light changes. A thin beam of sunlight sneaks through a crack in the window board and hits the floor. I sit there and follow it with my fingers, pretending it's warm enough to burn. Sometimes, if I close my eyes, I can almost feel the world outside again. Wind, sound, color. Then the blue light turns on, and everything fades. He told me once that the blue light was our signal. It meant he was thinking of me, that I should feel calm when I see it. But calm feels a lot like control when you don't get to decide it. There are moments, it's tiny ones, when I think he forgets I'm here. When he's on the phone, pacing, muttering about work, I hear his real voice sharper, quicker, Nothing like the soft one he uses with me. In those moments, I see the cracks, not in the walls. In him, he collects things, receipts, photos, newspaper clippings. He keeps them in a box under the stairs. Once, when he was gone longer than usual, I opened it. Inside were old pictures, not of me, but of other women. Each photo had the same blue light reflected in their eyes. I shut the box and never touched it again. I don't know what the light means anymore. Maybe it's a reminder. Maybe it's a warning. Maybe it's just his way of keeping time, his clock, his rhythm, his pulse, at night. When he's asleep, I listen to the faint hum of the bulb through the door. It buzzes like a heartbeat, steady, endless. Sometimes I match my breathing to it, just to remember what rhythm feels like. Other times, I wish I could reach through the door and crush it between my fingers. Once, I asked him what would happen if it ever burned out. He smiled. He said, "Then you'd be free to leave." I couldn't tell if he was joking. He didn't laugh. When I first met Thomas, he wasn't the man who locks doors. He was the man who held them open. He smiled the kind of smile that makes you believe the world still has good left in it. He said he liked the way I spoke soft, careful, as if words might break if I wasn't gentle enough. Back then, I thought that was a compliment. I was working at a bookstore in Helena, Montana. It was small, quiet, the kind of place where the dust on the shelves felt older than the customers. He came in one afternoon looking for a book on astronomy. He told me he liked things that made him feel small, because it reminded him how precious life was. I didn't realize how rehearsed that line was until much later. We talked for hours that day. He bought the book, but never read it at least. I never saw him open it. He left his number on the receipt and said, "Call if you ever want to see the stars." It rained that night, but he still took me to a field outside town. Blankets spread over the hood of his car, a small blue flashlight in his hand. He used it to point out constellations. That was the first time I saw the blue light. I didn't know it would follow me. He wasn't cruel at first. He listened, really listened. He asked about my family, my past, my fears. He remembered every detail. It felt like safety, like being seen for the first time. But there's a difference between being seen and being studied. He was collecting me piece by piece. 3 months later, he asked me to move in. His house was outside town, near the edge of the woods. A single story with peeling paint and windows that looked like they hadn't opened in years. I hesitated. He laughed softly and said, "You always overthink. Just trust me." So I did. Because trust feels a lot like love when you're tired of being alone. The first night there, the power flickered. He told me it was old wiring, that I shouldn't be scared. He handed me that same blue flashlight and said, "Keep this close. It means I'm nearby." I still have it hidden under the floorboard. It's the only light that feels like mine. At first, everything was fine. He'd cook dinner, tell stories, make me laugh. He'd leave small notes around the house, little reminders like drink water. Stay warm, don't forget you're safe. It took me weeks to realize every note started with a command. He was teaching me obedience disguised as care. I started losing track of days. He took over my phone plan, said it was simpler that way. He said the internet made people cruel. He said the outside world didn't deserve my voice. When I tried to call my mother one evening, he took the phone gently from my hand, kissed my forehead and said, "You don't need to talk to ghosts." After that, I stopped trying. The locks came gradually. First, the front door, he said it was for security. Then the windows, he said they didn't close properly. Then my room, he said I sleepwalked. He said all of it with that same soft smile. And I believed him, because the alternative was realizing I was already trapped. The blue light appeared again a week later, this time not from the flashlight. He'd installed it above the hallway door. He told me it was for emergencies, but it turned on every night. Sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours. At first I thought it was random. But then I noticed every time I cried, every time I paced, every time I tried to hum or whisper, the light came on. It wasn't random. It was him. It was control disguised as care. He watched me without watching. I'd hear the floor creak outside my door, his breath catching, the sound of something metallic keys. Always the keys. He never said anything, just lingered until the silence broke me first. I learned not to cry loudly. I learned that silence was survival, and the longer I stayed, the smaller my world became. The bed, the table, the wall, the door, the blue light. For corners of obedience. Sometimes I wonder if he loved me. Maybe he did, in his own broken language. Love to him was about ownership. If he could keep me, he could save me. He said he didn't trust the world. He said people ruin things they couldn't control. And maybe he was right, because he ruined me exactly that way. One morning, he came in with breakfast toast, eggs, strawberries. He placed the tray down, sat on the edge of the bed, and asked if I was happy. I said yes. He smiled and said, "I can tell when you lie." Then he brushed my hair back and whispered, "Try harder." That was the first time I realized the smile could hurt more than the silence. Days became loops. He'd leave for work, I think, and come back hours later. He never said where he went, and I stopped asking. He liked when I waited near the door, hands folded, quiet. He said I looked peaceful like that. He said I was learning to be good. When I couldn't sleep, I'd count the seconds between the light turning on and off. Sometimes it stayed on all night. Sometimes it blinked once, slowly, like an eye closing. I began to imagine it was alive, breathing with me, judging me. I called it the Watcher. It never blinked when he was angry. He never hit me. He didn't have to. He had rules. No raised voice, no open windows, no questions after midnight. He didn't need to bruise me when he could erase me instead. Once, he let me sit in the living room while he worked. He placed me in a chair by the window and said, "Look outside, but don't forget where you belong." And I looked anyway. I saw the road, the trees, a mailbox leaning sideways. I thought about running, but the door was locked. When I turned back, he was already watching me. He didn't say a word. He just turned the blue light on. That night, I dreamed of drowning. The water wasn't cold. It was calm, slow, endless. And through it all, the blue light shimmered above me like the last star in a dying sky. I think about my mother sometimes, about the last call we had before Thomas. She said she was proud of me for finally living. If she saw me now, she wouldn't recognize the quiet version of her daughter. Maybe that's why I can't call her anymore, because I don't know which version she'd want to talk to. I found a nail under the rug last week. It's small, rusty, useless, but it feels like possibility. I hide it behind the loose floorboard, next to the flashlight. Every time I touch it, I feel something I almost forgot existed. Hope. It's small, sharp, and dangerous. Like the truth, the blue light came on last night and didn't go off. It's been hours now. I can see its glow under the door, steady and cold. Sometimes I wonder if it's even him turning it on anymore, if it's just the house, learning from him. Maybe the house knows the pattern better than I do. I hear footsteps now, slow, measured. He always walks like that when he's thinking. He'll stand outside the door for a while before speaking. He says he likes to hear me breathe before he comes in. It reminds him I'm real. He says the world outside is full of liars, and I'm the only truth he's ever known. He says the light keeps us connected. He says the light is love. I don't know what love means anymore, but I know what the light means. It means he's still there. And so am I for now. I didn't sleep last night. The blue light stayed on for so long that it painted the walls with its own kind of dawn. I watched it until my eyes stung. Sometimes I think that's how he wants me, half blind, half awake. Always waiting for permission to close my eyes. Thomas didn't come into the room in the morning. Usually he does leaves a tray, says something soft like morning, sunshine, pretending we're normal. But not today. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. That kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. I pressed my ear against the door and listened. There was nothing but the faint hum of that light. I could smell coffee from somewhere down the hall. It smelled like mornings I used to have when I still had a job, when my name still meant something outside these walls. For For a moment, I almost smiled. Then I remembered where I was. Time is strange here. The hours stretch like melted glass, thin and dangerous. I only know the day has passed because the blue light flickers differently when the sun goes down. It gets colder, sharper, like ice instead of air. When I can't sleep, I count. Not seconds, not breath sounds. The creak of the house when it shifts, the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of that broken wall clock he refuses to fix. He says, it's not broken. It just ticks at its own pace. Maybe he meant me. The last time I saw Thomas's smile was 3 days ago. He stood in the doorway, holding a glass of water. He said, "You're looking better. The quiet suits you." I told him thank you. It was a lie, but it was easier than silence. He nodded like I'd given him a gift. That's when I realized lies are the only freedom I have left. When he leaves, I walk. Small circles around the room. 10 steps from wall to wall. If I pace quietly, the floor doesn't creak. If I move too fast, it doesn't, he notices. He doesn't yell. He just looks at me longer than he should. That look is worse than shouting. It's the look that says, you forgot who decides what happens here. I found another nail this morning under the rug. It's smaller than the first one, bent, but I kept it. I hide it with the flashlight under the loose floorboard. When I touch them, it feels like remembering. I don't know what I'll do with them yet, but I like knowing they exist. Proof that I still can. The house has rhythms now. He leaves around the same time each day, maybe noon. He locks the door twice, once slow. I can tell by the sound which mood he's in. When he's calm, the key turns smoothly. When he's angry, it scratches, bites the metal. I listen for that sound like other people listen for weather reports. Sometimes, before he goes, he stands outside my door and talks to me through the wood. Not like a warden to a prisoner, but like a lover rehearsing devotion. He tells me about the people at work, about how fake they are, how I'm the only one who sees the world clearly. He says, "You're different, Sarah. You listen. You understand me?" I want to scream that understanding isn't the same as loving, but the words stay in my throat. He wouldn't hear them anyway. When the light turns off, I move differently. I whisper to myself, I stretch, I hum. The silence is mine for those few hours. Sometimes I even pretend the door is open. I imagine walking down the hall, turning left, feeling the air from the kitchen window. Freedom doesn't have to be real to keep you alive. It just has to be possible. I started writing again last week. Not with a pen, not on paper, he'd find it. I write on the underside of the desk, with a broken hairpin. Just scratches, letters you can barely see unless you know what to look for. Sometimes I write my name, sometimes a date I make up. Today I wrote one word, soon. Thomas always notices the smallest things, but somehow he hasn't noticed me changing. He still thinks I'm soft, obedient, quiet. He doesn't see that silence isn't surrender anymore, it's strategy. Every time he talks, I learn something. Every word he says gives me another piece of the map I need to leave. He told me last night that he's proud of me. He said I'm almost ready to go outside again, but only with him. He said if I let you out alone, the world will eat you alive. I won't let that happen. I nodded, smiled. Inside, I was already gone. The first time he'd let me out of the room, I thought it was a trick. He opened the door, stood in the frame, and said, "Let's have dinner together. You've earned it." The blue light was still on, casting shadows between us. For a moment, it looked like it was cutting the air in half his side and mine. I stepped forward anyway. My knees shook. The hallway smelled like bleach and rain. I hadn't realized how much air could hurt when you haven't breathed it freely in so long. He guided me to the kitchen like a child. Everything was clean, too clean. The table was already set for two. He poured wine, even though I hadn't asked. He said, "It's a special night." "You're doing so well," smiled, told him thank you again. He reached across the table, took my hand and said, "You see? You don't need anyone but me." The way he said it wasn't love. It was a contract. Dinner was quiet. He talked about the stars again, about how the universe doesn't care about human pain. He said that's why he keeps the blue light, because it's the color of the night sky, the color of truth. He said, "When you look at it, you should remember who saved you." Nodded. Inside, I promised myself I'd remember something else instead, who I was before the saving started. After dinner, he let me walk around the living room. He sat on the couch, watching, not saying a word. I could feel his eyes following me like a leash. I stopped near the window. There were boards nailed over it, but light leaked through the gaps. I could see a sliver of the outside world trees, the hint of a road. I took a deep breath. He stood up immediately. He said, "Don't go near there." His voice wasn't angry. It was scared. And that scared me more than if he'd shouted. He led me back to my room, kissed my forehead, locked the door. The blue light flickered twice before going steady. That's when I realized something. He wasn't watching to make sure I didn't escape. He was watching because he was afraid I would. I don't know why, but that thought gave me strength. I spent the rest of the night lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling, tracing invisible lines between the cracks like constellations. I remembered that first night in the field, the stars, the cold, the sound of his voice saying, "You're safe with me." Back then, the blue flashlight had felt like protection. Now it felt like warning. I still have that nail under the floorboard. Sometimes I take it out and press it into my palm until it hurts. The pain reminds me I still belong to myself. He can take the noise, the time, the light, but not the feeling of skin breaking against truth. This morning I heard something different. Not his footsteps, something smaller. A sound from outside. A car door, maybe. It stopped in front of the house. I heard voices too, maybe three. Then silence again. Thomas didn't say anything about visitors when he left. I stood by the door for an hour, waiting. The light never turned on. When he came back, he was shaking. He dropped his keys, cursed under his breath. I heard him pacing, opening drawers, closing them hard. Then he stopped outside my door. He didn't speak. He just stood there for a long time. Then he whispered, "You're not leaving me, right?" I didn't answer. He waited. Then he said, "Say it, Sarah." I did. I said, "I'm not leaving you." He sighed like he'd been holding his breath for years. Then the blue light came on again. I sat there for hours, staring at it, realizing how easy it is to lie when your life depends on it. But I also realized something else. The blue light isn't just his signal anymore. It's mine too. Every time it glows, I know he's awake. Every time it turns off, I know I have time. And time is all I need. Tonight, I'll start loosening one of the boards near the window. I'll use the nail if I can. Maybe it'll take days, maybe weeks, but I'll wait. Because the longer he believes I'm his, the closer I get to being mine again. I used to think silence was his gift to me. Now I know it's my weapon. If I stay quiet enough, I can hear the world through the cracks. And if I listen long enough, I'll find the moment when the blue light finally dies. When it does, I'll be ready. The blue light didn't come on last night. For the first time in 57 days, the hallway stayed dark. At first, I thought the bulb had burned out. But then I realized something far more dangerous. Ada Somas had stopped needing it. Silence used to mean safety. Now it meant something else. Unpredictability. He wasn't following the routine anymore, and routines were the only thing that made me feel sane. I sat in the corner of the room, knees to my chest, waiting for footsteps that never came. The house was breathing differently, slow, uneven, like it was holding something back. Every sound felt amplified. A pipe groaned somewhere in the wall. A floorboard cracked like a whisper. And beneath it all, the quiet pulse of fear that lived in my ribs. When the sun rose, I pressed my ear against the door. Still nothing. No keys, no humming, no footsteps. Just the faint ticking of that broken clock down the hallway. I whispered, "Thomas." But my voice came out smaller than I expected. No answer. I thought maybe he was gone. Maybe he'd left the house. Maybe this was the moment I'd been waiting for. My heart started pounding so loud it drowned out the clock. I pushed my hand against the door. It didn't move. Locked. Always locked. I looked toward the loose floorboard, the place where I'd hidden the flashlight and the nail. I pulled them out slowly, the wood creaking beneath my hands. The flashlight flickered when I pressed the button. It still worked. The beam was weak, but real, pale blue against the wall. It felt almost poetic. His color, my control. The nail felt heavier than before. Maybe because it meant something now. I kneeled by the window. The boards were thick, nailed tight, but one corner had started to lift from my quiet work over the last few days. I pried at it, carefully, slowly. Each time the metal scraped, I stopped and listened. Nothing, just my own breathing. I kept going. After what felt like an hour, one nail came loose. Then another. When I finally pulled the board free, a thin strip of daylight cut through the room like a blade. It hit my face, warm and blinding. For a second, I forgot to breathe. I hadn't seen pure sunlight in nearly 2 months. It hurt, it healed. It reminded me I was still human, but the world outside looked different. Brighter, yes, but empty. I could see the edge of the trees, a dirt road, the corner of a mailbox. No people, no sound, just the kind of stillness that makes you question if freedom even wants you anymore. I heard the lock turn. My heart stopped. I shoved the board back into place and threw myself toward the bed. Tucking the flashlight under the blanket, the nail into my sleeve. The door opened. Thomas stood there, framed by the dim light of the hallway. He looked different. Tired. Eyes sunken, hands shaking just slightly. He didn't say, "Good morning." He just looked at me. Then he smiled, but it wasn't the usual soft smile. It was something smaller, thinner, like it had been carved there. "You're awake early," he said. I nodded. "Did you sleep well?" I lied. Yes. He watched me too long before setting the tray down on the table. Toast, water, no eggs, no strawberries. He sat on the edge of the bed and just watched me eat. I could feel him studying every motion, every breath. When I picked up the toast, my hand shook. He noticed. "Something wrong?" he asked. I shook my head. He smiled again. "Good. I was worried you were bored." The way he said it wasn't kindness. It was a test. After breakfast, he didn't leave. He stayed in the hallway for hours, moving from room to room, muttering to himself. Once I heard him on the phone. His voice was low but strained. He said, "They can't come here. It's not ready. She's not ready." Then silence. The kind that means you've said too much. That night, the blue light came back, but dimmer, slower. It flickered like a dying heartbeat. I lay on the floor watching it fade and return, over and over, until the rhythm started matching my pulse. It wasn't control anymore. It was a countdown. The next morning, I decided to test something. When he brought me breakfast, I asked questions. Mall, harmless. When can I go outside again? He froze, just for a second. Then he laughed. "Why would you want to? You have everything you need here." I smiled softly. "I just missed the air." He leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. "There's nothing out there for you, Sarah. You understand that, right?" I nodded. But inside, something cracked open. That night, when he fell asleep in the room down the hall, I began to move, slowly, quietly. I took the nail from my sleeve and pried another board loose. The wood groaned, but the sound felt like progress. Behind it, the air was cold. Outside, a single streetlight flickered in the distance. I could see the outline of the mailbox again, a shadow moving across a tan animal maybe, or the wind. The world was still there, waiting. Then I heard him. "Sarah." His voice came from the doorway, calm but heavy. I froze. The flashlight rolled off the bed and hit the floor with a dull clatter. He stepped inside, slow, deliberate. The blue light flickered behind him, faint but alive. He looked at the window, then back at me. "Were you trying to leave?" His tone wasn't angry. It was sad. That made it worse. I shook my head, stammering, "No, He raised his hand. "Don't lie." He walked to the window, touched the loose board, traced the edge where I'd been working. "You should have told me you felt trapped," he said softly. "I would have helped you." His voice was trembling, and for a moment, I saw something real behind it. Fear, but not for me. For himself, he turned and sat on the floor in front of me. "You don't understand," he said. "They're not ready for you out there. You're fragile. You don't know what they'll do to you?" I didn't answer. He leaned closer. "Out there, they break people. In here, I keep you whole." He touched my cheek. I flinched. That's when I saw it, the faint blue reflection in his eyes. It wasn't the light from the hallway. It was coming from something in his hand. He held up the small remote, the switch for the blue light. He turned it on. The glow filled the room again, swallowing the sunlight, painting everything the same cold shade of control. He said, "When this is on, nothing can hurt us." And then he left. Locked the door. The light stayed on all night. I sat in that blue glow until morning, the world beyond the window gone again. But something inside me was different now. The fear didn't sit right anymore. It was still there, but it wasn't alone. There was something else beside it, something louder, sharper. Anger. I realized that as long as the light was his, I'd never have peace. So I decided I'd take it from him. I waited until I heard his car leave later that afternoon. Then I pulled the board free again, ripped it out completely. Sunlight poured into the room like it had been waiting for me. I reached out and touched the frame, felt the rough edge of the air against my skin. It wasn't enough. Not yet. I turned toward the door, picked up the flashlight, and pointed it at the blue light above the frame. It buzzed faintly, almost mocking me. I aimed carefully and threw. The flashlight hit the bulb dead center. A flash, a spark, then darkness. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was free. For the first time, the house wasn't humming with his presence. It felt like it was exhaling, like it was mine. I sat in that dark room for hours, waiting for the sound of the car again. It didn't come. When it finally did, the lock clicked twice, faster than usual. He walked in, saw the broken bulb, saw the sunlight spilling through the missing board, saw me sitting in the middle of it, calm, waiting. He didn't speak. Neither did I. We just stared at each other, both of us realizing the same thing. The light was never control. It was connection. And I had finally cut it. He turned away slowly, breathing hard. His hands shook. Then he whispered, "You shouldn't have done that." I smiled, just slightly. "Neither should you." He stepped closer. His face changed. Something inside him snapped, the softness, the quiet, all of it gone. He grabbed my wrist hard. For a moment, I thought he'd hit me, but he didn't. He just stared into my eyes, searching for the girl who used to believe him. He couldn't find her. He let go and backed away. Then he left the room again, slamming the door so hard that the frame cracked. I heard him moving through the house, drawers opening, things breaking, then silence. When night came, the power went out completely. No lights, no hum, nothing. Just darkness. And for the first time, it belonged to me. I don't know what he'll do next, but I know what I'll do. Tomorrow, when he leaves, I'll crawl through that window. I'll run. I don't care if it's daylight or rain or snow. I'll keep running until the world feels real again, until the blue light is nothing but memory. He always said the light kept us connected. Maybe it did. But he forgot something. Every connection can be broken. And when it breaks, only one of us gets to be free. The world didn't explode the moment I stepped through the window. It didn't even notice. The sky was just beginning to turn, soft gray pulling at the edge of the trees, a slow and sleepy kind of dawn. My bare feet sank into the wet grass, and for the first time in 58 days, the earth felt real beneath me. I wanted to cry, but my body didn't remember how. The air was too open, too sharp, cutting against my skin like it was trying to remind me it existed. Each breath hurt in a way that felt right like lungs waking from a long sleep. The blue light inside the house was gone. Even from here, I could see the hallway through the window. Still, colorless, silent. It felt strange to see it without that glow. For so long, that light had been the rhythm of my days and meant stillness. Off meant hope. Now it was just darkness. And in that darkness, I realized something I hadn't before. He didn't just trap me there. He built a world where even freedom felt foreign. I walked slowly toward the tree line, keeping low. The gravel under my feet was cold and uneven, the sound almost too loud. Every crunch made my chest tighten. I expected to hear his voice behind me, that soft, steady calm he used before every storm. But there was only wind. I reached the fence, the same one I'd stared at through the cracks for weeks. From up close, it looked smaller, weaker, a thin wooden thing pretending to be a wall. It took one pull, one deep breath, and I was over. I landed hard on the other side, knees scraping the dirt, hands sinking into dry leaves. And just like that, I wasn't inside anymore. I didn't know where to go. I didn't care. I just walked. Each step felt like a lie unraveling, one truth at a time. My body shook. My mind screamed for the safety of the cage I'd hated. It's strange how even hell can start to feel like home when it's the only place that remembers your name. After what felt like an hour, I reached the road. It was empty, stretching in both directions, lined with telephone poles and fog. The world smelled like pine and gasoline. I looked left, then right, then left again. None of it felt real. I whispered to the quiet, "Please, someone see me?" But the world was slow to answer. Only the birds, the wind, the hum of morning. And yet buried somewhere inside the silence, there was something else, the first echo of being found. I started walking east, toward the sun. It was still low, half-hidden, painting the fog with that pale blue glow that used to live in my walls. The irony almost made me laugh. For weeks, I'd feared that color. Now, it was leading me home. My legs ached, every muscle raw, every nerve screaming to stop. But stopping meant thinking, and I wasn't ready for that yet. Not ready to let my mind catch up to what my body had done. I just kept moving, counting breaths, matching them to steps. 1, 2, 3, freedom hurts. 4, 5, 6, keep walking. I saw the first house around the next bend. A small place, white fence, mailbox half open. A dog barked once and then stopped, like it wasn't sure I was real. I stepped closer, heart pounding so hard I thought the world would hear it. When I reached the door, I knocked once. Nothing. I knocked again. A sound from inside slow steps, a voice I didn't know. The door opened. A woman stood there. Older, kind eyes, hair in a gray braid that caught the sunlight. Her face changed the moment she saw me, shock first, then fear, then something softer. She didn't ask who I was. She didn't have to. She just said, "Come in, honey," and stepped aside. The warmth hit me like a wave. The smell of coffee, soap, the faint hum of a radio playing somewhere in another room. It was too much. My body gave up pretending. I fell to my knees on her kitchen floor and sobbed. She didn't ask questions. She didn't move closer. She just let me cry until the shaking turned into breathing again. Then she handed me a glass of water. "Drink slow," she said. Her voice was steady in a way the world hadn't been for a long time. When I finally spoke, the words came out broken. "My name is Sarah Whitmore. Please, can I use your phone?" She nodded, pressing the receiver into my hand. "Take your time," I dialed with trembling fingers. 911. "What is your emergency?" I stared at the wall. I was taken. "My name is Sarah Whitmore. I'm on." I looked around the kitchen. The woman pointed to an address taped to the fridge. I read it. The voice on the line softened. "Okay, Sarah, you're safe now. Help is on the way. Stay on the phone with me. Safe." The word sounded too big for me. Like a coat I hadn't earned yet. The sirens came minutes later, faint at first, then rising like the promise of morning. I didn't watch them arrive. I just listened the crunch of tires, the rush of voices, the sound of a door opening and closing, then another sound. One that made the room tilt. The familiar slam of his car door. He'd come back. The woman whispered, "Stay here," and went to the front door. The operator was still speaking in my ear, her voice steady, almost motherly. "Don't move, Sarah. They're there. They see him." Her words became heartbeat, pulse, air. Through the wall, I heard his voice calm, like he was still in control. "She's confused. She's not well. Please, let me talk to her." The world narrowed to that one sound. The same tone he used when he said good morning, when he said you're safe with me, when he said you don't need anyone else. Even now, surrounded by police and sunlight and witnesses, he believed the story he'd written. He thought I was still a part of it. Then a man's voice cut through, strong, certain, final. "Sir, step back." Another voice. "Hands behind your back." Pause. Metal clicked, and then silence again. The woman came back, eyes shining with something like relief. "They got him," she said softly. "You're okay?" "Okay." Another word that didn't fit yet. I stayed in that kitchen for hours. They asked questions, gentle, endless questions, and I answered what I could. Sometimes my voice worked. Sometimes it didn't. But they waited each time, patient. Like silence wasn't something to fear. By the time they took me to the hospital, the sun was higher, gold instead of blue. The ambulance smelled like rubber and salt. The paramedic's hands were warm when she checked my pulse. "Deep breaths," she said. "You're doing great." I closed my eyes and thought of the light, the one that used to mean control, fear, quiet. It wasn't his anymore. It never really was. He only borrowed it. I was the one who kept it alive. At the hospital, they wrapped me in a blanket that smelled clean. They asked if I wanted to call someone. I gave them my mother's number. When her voice came through the line, I broke again. "Mom, Sarah?" The way she said my name, like pulling a ghost out of water, made everything real again. When she arrived, she didn't speak. She just held me. And I realized something simple and cruel and true. You don't know how quiet you've become until someone holds you loud enough to hear you again. Days passed. Doctors, detectives, questions, statements, words that felt like fences necessary but fragile. They told me he'd confessed parts of it. They told me he'd said he was protecting me. They told me I didn't have to see him again. I told them I already did. Nights were the hardest. Every sound became memory, the click of a door, the hum of a light, the whisper of shoes in the hallway. But the difference was this. Now, when I turned on the light, it didn't control me. It just lit the room. One afternoon, an officer brought me a box of things they'd found in the house. A few of my clothes, my necklace, my old ID card, and the small blue flashlight, the same one that started everything. He asked if I wanted to keep it. I did. Not because it reminded me of him, because it reminded me of the moment I stopped being afraid of it. I turned it on once, just to see. The glow was weaker now, soft and fading. It didn't feel like control. It felt like closure. Then I switched it off and slipped it into the drawer. Months later, I moved to a small apartment near the water. I painted the walls white, left the windows open, even when it rained. Some nights, the sky outside turns that same shade of blue. I don't hide from it anymore. I just watch it fade. I write letters I never send. To the girl I was before. To the silence that tried to keep me. To the light that taught me timing. To the world that finally waited long enough to hear me say it. I made it out. People call me brave. I don't think that's true. Bravery implies choice. Survival doesn't. It just means you kept going because stopping wasn't an option. But now, when I wake up, when sunlight crawls through the curtains and lands on my face, I whisper something small before the day begins. I'm here. Because for the first time in so long, I get to mean it. The blue light will always be part of my story, but it's not the ending. It's just the reminder of how dark things can get before you remember. The simplest truth, light isn't something you wait for. It's something you become, and every time the morning comes, I prove it again.